It's the final video of 2023, so it's time for my favorite video of the year. Hey there, cinephiles. Today I'm going to rank my top 10 films of 2023. I always love doing these lists because I get to reminisce on the year through the lens of my favorite films. Now, I know 2022 was a pretty good year for movies. It's when movie culture and just movie going kind of came back to form as more people started to go, especially after the pandemic. But 2023 blows last year out of the water. I mean, this year I have a top 15 that I feel like could squarely fit into every top 10 of this decade so far. And I'll be sure to mention my honorable mentions at the end of this video. I kind of want to keep the mystery alive as we go through my top 10. But alright, without further ado, let's get into my top 10 films of 2023. At number 10, I have May December. This is just one of the smartest and most layered films of the year, essentially satirizing and critiquing the lifetimification of these true crime drama stories. And at the center of it is this absolutely mesmerizing performance from Charles Melton. Both Charles Melton's performance and the film itself just have these layers to it that are just so deep and profound, and the longer I sit with it, the more I like the movie. Sure, it has these moments of an overblown score, an interesting accent, and like a hot dog joke, but that all adds to the absurdity of how films are just made to prey on these people who have these tragic events happen in their lives and just have terrible art made about them. It's just one of those films that if you understand what it's trying to go for, you're just gonna really appreciate how it goes about it. And it's one that I wish I was able to revisit before I made this list, just because I have a feeling it would jump up if I were to rewatch it. At number 9, I have The Boy and the Heron. This is just something that has magic woven into the film itself. From the gorgeous score to the beautiful visuals to even the insane story that you're brought along. The themes of this movie, I know, are going to hit so much harder on every rewatch I do. This movie just has so much going for it, for all the tones and themes that it's trying to do, and also just the characters it's building out and fleshing out. But it balances out in this dream-like structure that I've rarely seen before. Definitely one of the most impressive films of the year, and having it at number 9 just feels like a disservice because it's just so great. But this is just a really tough year. Almost any other year, I would have this in my top 5 easily. But if you can, please watch The Boy and the Heron, whether it be subtitled or dubbed. I watched it in dubbed, and Robert Pattinson's performance is just otherworldly. At number 8, I have Bottoms. Emma Seligman. I hope, you wouldn't be watching this, but if you are watching this, you are my idol. To make 2 really good films so early on in your career is just so inspiring. And once Emma Seligman actually becomes like a seasoned director, she just has the power to make 1 if not 2 of my favorite films of all time. But as for this film, it commits to the bit so much all of the time that it's amazing. It knows exactly what it is, and it just has one of my favorite scenes of the entire year. There's this scene in which Ayo is talking to Rachel in the car about her future, and she's just freaking out about this complete hypothetical, and apparently it's all ad-lib, but oh my god, it's so hilarious. Every time it pops up on my feed, I just have to watch it in full because I just can't stop laughing about it. Just the attitude and the vibe of this film, along with the comedy and interesting story, and a swing of a story, might I add, especially for your second feature. This movie is just so great on so many levels, and man, I just cannot wait to see what this filmmaker does next. At number 7, I have Killers of the Flower Moon. This is just one perspective shift away from being a masterpiece. If we only could have gotten more of Lily Gladstone, my god, what a powerhouse performance this was. She and the Osage people are the beating heart of this film, and if we would have just gotten more of them, it would have been all the better for it. Not to say that this movie's bad by any standard. I mean, it's number 7 on my top 10 of an insanely stacked year. And the time we spend with Leo and De Niro, it's not that it's not enthralling or thrilling, but I do appreciate what we see from them, right? It's just that the Osage people and Lily Gladstone are just on a completely different level. And what Martin Scorsese is able to show from the Osage is just so much better than anything we see with the white people. And I know that this is an incredibly long movie, but it's one that I didn't mind spending some more time with either. Overall, the film that we do get, it's great, it's sad, it's one of Scorsese's best in a while, and that ending also does something that May December does, which is critique how we take in these types of stories, and rather than see the people for who they are, we just see the headlines, and it's one of my favorite endings of the year, that's for sure. At number 6, I have Oppenheimer. This to me is one of, if not the best Christopher Nolan film ever. You have this stellar performance from Cillian Murphy, who just upholds the entire film, as well as one of the best scores, as well as some of the best visual effects I have ever seen ever. Just the absolute craftsmanship that drips from this movie is utterly insane. The only thing about this is that you do feel its runtime towards the end of the film, but other than that, this film just works so well. For being a courtroom drama that's also a biopic, there's so many irons in the fire that makes this movie work, and I just appreciate it so much. The fact that this movie is ineligible from winning Best Visual Effects at the Oscars is tragedy. Man, this is just a good movie. Like, I did see it 3 times in the theater. All 3 times were in 70mm, and just one of the best looking movies I've seen in a while too. But I don't want to gush on this movie too much. I know everyone and their mom has seen it and talked about it on the internet. So moving on. Coming in at number 5, I have The Killer. The latest David Fincher movie starring Michael Fassbender is just not for everybody. I learned that the hard way. But man, oh man, does it work for me. From the buildup of the first act with the narration to the look of it, it's so slick. It's a dark comedy. The sound design in this, there's just so much of this that works for me. I mean, even Michael Fassbender's fits in this are just so good. I don't know, this is just one of those films that feels so insanely rewatchable to me, and that ending with the realization and just the arc that Michael Fassbender's character goes through, it's just such a goddamn good movie, man. I know for most people this won't even make their list, but what can I say, is just one of my favorite movies of the year. At number 4, I have The Iron Claw. By far the absolute saddest film of the year. Like, oh my god, man. It's based off a true story, and the Shakespearean levels of tragedy that happen in this, it could have easily gone wrong. But Sean Durkin, the writer-director, has such respect for the story that he's telling and for the family. Oh my god, man. It's just, it's one of the most mature and well-told stories this whole year. And you have Zac Efron's wonderful performance, the best of his career by far. Unfortunately, I don't see him getting nominated for Best Actor, but he is my second favorite lead actor performance of the year. And this film should be considered for Best Picture. It's so well made, and I wanted to see it instantly as soon as it was finished, even though the whole time I was sniffling and the people I went with were crying. Like, it's not an easy film to watch, but if you're able to be in it, you're gonna be brought for such a great emotional journey. So if you haven't seen this yet, please go to the theater and do. When this video comes out, it should still be in theaters, so watch it, bring people with you if you can, because all of you are going to be crying, that's for sure. Coming in at number 3, I have Poor Things. One of the most unique films of the last few years, I'd say. Oh my god, man. I cannot wait for this to win Best Picture come Oscar time. It also has my favorite performance of the entire year with Emma Stone as Bella. The absolute journey and arc that her character is going through in this film, it baffles me how it was even possible to do this well. Yorgos Lanthimos, who directed this film, has always been a filmmaker that has pushed the boundaries, right? But this is something that is his magnum opus, I'd say, and is basically a masterpiece. The only real flaw I have with it is that there's just one section that if you shortened it or just took it out entirely, I think the movie would probably be perfect. And all in all, too, this is just something that has so much to say, and it tells it so well. It's just such an interesting take on the Frankenstein story, which, you know, is a movie that I love and book that I love. It's just, it has some of the best cinematography of the year. It has an amazing score, the set design, the costumes, everything on a technical level, the supporting actors in this, everything. It's just so great. It's just something that I'm so genuinely impressed with, and it will inspire me for years to come. At number 2, I have Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. There are so few movies that can transport me into a place of just pure joy. Into the Spider-Verse did that, and Across the Spider-Verse did it even better. I will forever pray that Beyond the Spider-Verse is able to complete this slam dunk of a trilogy. Not only is this pushing the boundaries of an entire medium in animation, but to have these wonderful characters, not even just main character, but fleshed out side characters, and intriguing story with the balance in tones and just a wonderful score. So much of this works. I know some people don't love the cliffhanger. I don't mind it, but I also knew it was a part one going into it. I don't know. It's one of those films that's going to be insanely rewatchable to me. And if you haven't seen this or Into the Spider-Verse yet, what are you doing? Watch these movies now, because it'll make you feel like a kid again, but also just be something that is so genuinely well made and well thought out and well crafted. It's a very unfortunate what's happening to the animators of the film. Like, Beyond the Spider-Verse should not come out in 2024, because I know they're not too far along in it, and it's honestly tragic what's happening to these animators that are so talented and deserve better pay and better hours. Once Beyond the Spider-Verse does come out, I have so much faith in that movie being so good, because Into the Spider-Verse, and especially Across the Spider-Verse, is just stellar on every front. And finally, at number 1, I have Past Lives. Not only is this by far my favorite film of the year, it's one of my favorite films of all time. This is only the second film that I've given a perfect score to. It's something that, to me, feels so personal, so real, so raw, so human, so emotional, and this this transcends the medium that is film for me. It's something that I want the screenplay of so bad. It's something that I wish I made. I think about this movie constantly. I listen to the score at least once a week, if not more. And it's one of those movies that will, I think, only get better with age. It's something that I will recommend wholeheartedly to everybody. And I know not everyone's going to see this, as like a perfect 5 out of 5. In fact, I know many people who don't. This is just something that speaks to me on such a fundamental level that not having this number 1, not only for this year, but for this decade, would be a travesty in my eyes. And it's probably something that I'm going to go rewatch right now as soon as I finish making this video. But all right, those are my top 10 films of 2023. Let me go over my quick honorable mentions, because I know some people will be asking where are these films on this list. The first one I got is Barbie. It's a really good film. It was hard leaving this off, but my top 10 is just, I personally feel like it's just so stacked, and they all talk to me a bit more. But I do love I'm Just Ken. I do love What Was I Made For. So many great scenes in this and good performances, but I'd have it just outside the top 10 for me. It's at 11. At number 12, I have Asteroid City. Wes Anderson goes full Wes Anderson in this. It's just so interesting to see what he does with critiquing artists and their lifestyle and what it means to take in the art that they're making. It's really well made. It has interesting storylines. Definitely not for everybody, though. At 13, I have The Holdovers. This is such a vibey movie. You're either going to love it or just not your thing. This is so good. It makes me think about how my life would be like if I were to be a teacher, like I almost was. At 14, I have Godzilla Minus One. Such a great international blockbuster, man. Like, this only went up in my rankings as I kept looking at my list of all the movies I saw this year. And for those that know that this movie is great, I mean, it just is. It's such a good time. And for my last honorable mention, I have Anatomy of a Fall. Well written, well performed. The kid actor in this is that he's a middle-aged man in a kid's body, because the absolute sadness that he brings to this film is wonderful. Sandra Hüller's great. The whole movie is just really, really good all around. But all right, those are my top 10 films of 2023, along with some honorable mentions. Be sure to let me know your favorite films down in the comments, whether they be your top 5, your top 10, whatever. Even let me know your least favorite. Just be sure to drop them down in the comments below. I'd definitely be interested to see what you guys love this year. But before I head out, I really do want to thank each and every one of you who've just watched, liked, comment, or just interacted with this channel in any way in 2023. Last year, we weren't even at 100 subscribers, and this year we're at over 720 as of this recording. I mean, it's because of you guys that I've been able to join an actual critics association. Shout out to the Critics Association of Central Florida, by the way. Also, shout out to Sebastian, who edits most of our videos on here. I couldn't have done it without his help. And just once again, thank you to each and every one of you who even accidentally stumbled across my channel before. I really hope in 2024 I'm able to bring you guys much more videos, whether it be mini reviews, full reviews, me going to different theaters, just anything and everything I have an idea for. So let's make 2024 a great year. But as always, thank you guys for liking, commenting, and subscribing. Stay tuned for more Yeti Films content, and I'll watch you later.